Hello and welcome to the Profitable Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Rich, and as the founder of the Bold Life Movement and a fellow coach for more than 7 years, I know the challenges that many of you face when launching or growing your coaching business. And I'm here to pull back the curtain on the coaching industry and help you overcome roadblocks to make the impact you were born to make. Each week, I'll be interviewing successful coaches from every corner of the industry to share exactly how they have managed to generate massive impact and income. From strategy to psychology, we cover it all. This show is presented to you by Transformation Academy, a global marketplace of courses and coaching certifications. So whether you are already part of our epic community or you're brand new to this show, if you're ready to learn what it takes to turn your passion for service into a profitable business, then keep listening. You are in the right place. Hello and welcome back to the Profitable Coach Podcast. Today, I am so grateful to have the amazing Mayah Rose joining me. Mayah Rose is the co-founder of Legendary, where she and her business partner, also her husband, combine modern neuroscience and ancient alchemical processes to help their clients start to shift their subconscious so that their subconscious starts to work for them instead of against them. She's also the creator of Femintuition, where she empowers successful females to step into greater balance with their masculine and feminine energies. I first met Mayah Rose when I attended one of her legendary 4-day seminars in Salt Lake City. We became fast friends, and since then we have collaborated in a handful of ways. She led a Femintuition workshop at one of my women's retreats in Mexico last year, and I have supported her with running one of her Femintuition cohorts, and it was so much fun. As you'll hear in today's episode, Mayah Rose has such an impressive way of combining real-world strategies for success with the necessary mindset and often spiritual side of cultivating your dream coaching business. So without further ado, please welcome my magical friend, Mayah Rose. Hello. Welcome, Mayah Rose, one of my favorite humans, to the Profitable Coach Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here, and you were one of the first people that I thought of when I started creating my list of who would be a really impactful, really open-hearted and vulnerable guest for all of these aspiring coaches that are tuning in. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on.
Well, I'm so honored to be here, and you know that I love you so much. So anytime I get to play with you, anytime I get to create with you, I am a full body yes.
I love hearing that. I want to talk about full body yeses because I think that is, at least for me, what my aha moment about becoming a coach felt like. It was a moment that I remember discovering that this was even a thing. And it was like everything in my being said, yes, I have to do that. So was it like that for you? If not, can you describe what deciding to become a coach way back when, what that experience was like?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I definitely had that full body yes moment. Mine was a little more of an evolution. It was back in 2009 that I first became an entrepreneur, and it was kind of out of necessity. So the market had just crashed in real estate. Just built a house to flip with my ex-husband. He was in construction. We had 4 kids. And I remember waking up one morning and being like, okay, either we lose the house, we declare bankruptcy, and I'm not even sure how we're going to feed the kids next week, or I do something about it. So that's when I became an entrepreneur, and it started with personal training and evolved into foot zoning and Reiki. But for me, the full body yes moment came. I remember feeling this like call inside of me. I was teaching all of these life principles and life skills along with the programs that I was doing that taught the technical things of the Reiki and the foot zoning. And I realized and recognized that people were having these massive shifts and big breakthroughs and huge realizations with these life coaching principles and tools, and that's what was actually impacting and affecting their life on the biggest level, the greatest level. And so I felt this like pull inside of me, like there were people out there that just needed to hear the message I had, but that I was limiting myself by using these different practices or modalities as vehicles for delivering that. So I remember one day I was doing yoga in my master bedroom in the house we didn't lose because I became an entrepreneur, but I was doing yoga. And I remember just laying in Shavasana and being, even know where this came from, but I was like, God, universe, spirit, I surrender. I just want to be an instrument in your hands and being this conduit for whatever needs to come through. I had no idea what was going to happen. At the time, I was living in a town of less than 5,000 people in Idaho. I called myself a full-time stay-at-home mom and closet entrepreneur. Like I did not travel at all. I was going, maybe every now and again for some foot zoning class, but within 9 months of doing that, of saying, I surrender, it's a full body yes for me, whatever it takes. I had my own TV show. I had my own radio station. I was speaking internationally. I was doing crazy things. Like my second time ever in LA, I'm doing a red carpet event. I'm interviewing people like John Travolta and Halle Berry I'm like, how does this even happen? I had to pinch myself. But yeah, that was the moment, laying in Shavasana, of just being like, I'm all in. It's a full body yes. I completely surrender. And for me, that's really what a full body yes is I have to be so much in that yes energy that I'm willing to fully surrender and say, okay, whatever, let's go. So
Yeah.
that was the moment for me.
And that's when the doors start to open, when I think we have the ability to not make it about us, right? It's like,
Mhm.
I think that so many coaches hold themselves back when they're first starting because they're worried about how good they're going to be at the task, or they're worried about how they might fail versus just saying, how can I serve? Whatever it is, I'm willing to do it. And I'm willing to go where the people who need me might be. So I really love that idea of surrendering to the process and just being of service. And
Yeah,
so
I want to
that's
put a little spin on this if I can too, or
sure.
like not even a little spin, just I want to reiterate what you just said. Because if we're really going deep, is it okay if I just really go deep here for a moment?
Let's kick it off. Yeah.
If we're really going deep, like I've been in multiple meditations. I've had, seen visions of people that have passed on that are great influencers and coaches and made a great impact. And here's the conclusion I've come to based on these different experiences that I've had. And it's hard to do, but you hit it right on the head when you're like, the message is bigger than you. What it takes to be able to be really successful and reach a lot of people is you have to let go and so fully surrender your ego. Now, here's how I want to define ego. Ego is just how you described it, and shows up a lot of ways in this perfectionism game. Like, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. What if I say the wrong things? I'm not valuable enough. That's all ego. And if we let that get in the way of the message that's wanting to flow through us, and by the way, I'm speaking only to the coaches out there that really feel like they have a powerful message. I'm not speaking to the ones that are like, oh, I kind of want to make a lot of money and I'm going to do whatever, right? Like, I'm only talking to the
Yeah.
ones that really have a powerful message. If you can let go of your ego and make the message bigger than any worry you have and just allow yourself to be the conduit, that's when real success comes. That's when you're able to have the influence and impact over more people. And full disclaimer, I'm still figuring this out. Like, I'm not
We
perfect
all
at
are.
but yeah, it's so true. I love what you said, and I just want to reiterate that because that has come to me over and over and over again. I used to think ego was like, oh, I think I'm too good, but it's usually the opposite. It's the ego that says I'm not good enough that prevents us from being in flow.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that when we can remember we're the vehicle for the message, it's not about what type of coach am I. It's literally about what type of result am I helping to bring to fruition for this person? What type of result am I the vehicle for transformation, not who am I in this mix? So,
Mhm.
getting back to what is the result and the transformation and the message that wants to be birthed through me for these people. So, yeah, I love that. One of the things that I'm really curious about is we have this idea of what it's going to be when we start coaching, when we start hosting retreats and creating our offerings and whatever the goal is that people have in their mind when they venture into this new territory. What has surprised you the most about either working with people in this way or about yourself as you've been in this industry for the past, 10 plus years?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked this question because I've had a huge aha around this recently, and it continues to surprise me. And here's the thing that's been the biggest surprise for me. When you're a coach, is not as much about what you do as who you are. And the thing that has surprised me the most is like, I always had this perception that in order to make more money or get more clients or make a bigger impact, I had to do more things. Like I had to pack my schedule full. I've had a really interesting experience. What I've noticed for years, and just recently, I've had the opportunity, so blessed, to visit several people who are even way more successful than I am, who have multi-millions of dollars and reaching millions and millions of people all over the globe. And as I look at them and aspire to be like them, I realize they all had something in common. Every single one of these people I've visited, including Garrett Gunderson, who wrote "Killing Sacred Cows," he's this huge mentor, and some other people. I won't mention any more names, but they all said this: they all spend between 3 and 5 hours a day on their morning or self practices. We recently were in Texas with a mentor, a coach that we had hired, my husband and I. And as we were there, the thing that struck me the most, probably the biggest thing I learned from him, was the power and importance of self-practice. Because so often what happened in the past was, I would get busy and I would neglect my self-practice, but you can't make space for more clients and better results until you make space for yourself. And so the biggest surprise for me as I've stepped into coaching and work with people is actually, in order to be a better and more powerful coach and have greater results for my clients, I have to first show up for myself in that way and take more time than the more time I take, the more space I create. So that's been my biggest surprise in coaching.
I'm so glad that was your answer, because this is more powerful than anyone listening probably knows. Allison, Mayah Rose, between her and her husband have 9 kids.
10.
Is that right? 9? 10 kids.
10 kids and 1 grandbaby. Yeah.
And 1 grandbaby. So anyone listening who has the excuse of time scarcity, if Mayah Rose can do this, then you can too. So can you speak a little bit to that? Like, how do you create that time when between your business and your family and your very rich social life, you can feel pulled in so many directions?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to give you a 3D and a 5D answer. I love it. So excited about this conversation because this, again, blew my mind. So the 3D answer is just like simple. It's looking at where you're spending your time and just prioritizing what's most important, So there's simple things like, I'll watch TV occasionally. When I say occasionally, maybe once every other week. I'm watching a show with my husband, or we go out to a movie or something like that. Like I don't spend a lot of time on things that aren't a priority to me. So it's just looking at that. That's the 3D is just simple time blocking, going to bed at a reasonable time, like waking up early, making time for the gym, things like that. Now, here's the 5D, because I had this question a while ago. If you're okay with me sharing it as just a brief story.
Please.
A while ago, I had this really interesting situation. I was working with a mentor. And by the way, if you're a coach, you should always be working with coaches and mentors. Like, you'll know when it's the ones that you work with, but I'm a proponent of that. So I was working with a mentor, amazing mentor. He mentored Marianne Williamson during her presidential candidacy. He's mentored like Ben Zorbist of the Cubs. He's mentored the Olympic team for Canada. And I specifically was led to him. And as I was mentoring with him, there was a moment in time a few years ago where I was completely stressed. My husband was leaving for a Joe Dispenza event the next day. We were moving out of the house. It was Christmas Eve. We had just gotten news that something had happened with his kid's mom, and so we suddenly had the kids. And then things shifted with family plans, and so our entire family is coming over for Christmas Eve dinner. Like, I mean, if you think about this, packing up the house, getting ready for Christmas, Gerald's leaving, like, I got on the phone with him and I said, I'm not going to have time for myself. I don't even know how I'm going to have time to do all this. And he says, here's the secret. I'm going to teach you how to stretch time. He said, first of all, make yourself a priority. Decide what you need to do that morning so that you can be on top of your game. So I decided on an ice bath, I decided on a meditation, and then I decided on exercise. And the whole thing took about 2 hours. And then he said, here's the second secret. In every single moment, decide how you want to feel. And he said, how do you want to feel during all this? And I said, well, I want to feel present and joyful. And he said, in each moment, find the presence and the joy. And if you do that, you'll be able to stretch time and everything will work out. So I was like,
I have
okay,
chills, by the way.
no logical sense, but I'm going to do it. So I did my morning practice. I felt myself calm and centered. I just latched on that feeling of presence and joy. And throughout the day, every single thing I did, making gingerbread houses with the kids, packing up the boxes, getting the Christmas Eve dinner ready for 12 people in the family, everything, I was like, I'm going to be fully present and have joy. And each moment I did, and guess what? Everything worked out. Like everything got done. Everybody was happy. Oh, I think it was presence, joy, and connection. That was the third one. I felt connected with everybody in every moment. I wasn't stressed out. And it just, it stretched time. So my advice would be, if you're wanting to make more time in order to be the coach that you want to be, then decide how you want to feel in each moment and find that thread. Because the truth is, in every single moment, we could find multiple things to be depressed about, to be stressed about, to be sad about. We can also find multiple things to be happy about and to be joyful about and to be excited about. And it's really, truly, I think what it comes down to is when we're stressed and when we're trying to focus on the future and future moments or the past and what happened, is it collapses time and we just feel stressed and don't have enough time for anything. So hopefully I articulated that in a way that it landed, but it's such a powerful practice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can see this. I'm like literally getting tears in my eyes. It feels, that feels so useful, and like so many people who are listening can really go and implement that. And I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, what would I want to feel in every moment? And the first two things that came to mind are awe and play. Because
I
I
love
feel like
that.
in every moment, whatever it is that we're experiencing, there is something to be awestruck by. Like I'm talking to you, you are thousands of miles away. I'm
Mhm.
awestruck at the synchronicities that led to our friendship and all the opportunities that have come. Even if you're sitting with your dog reading, it's like this beast has been domesticated over hundreds, if not thousands of years. And now it's just this like precious thing that gets to give me unconditional love. Like that is incredible. And then if you can infuse play, it just helps you not take
Mhm.
everything so seriously. And every moment gets to be like a little experiment
Yeah.
versus, like a burden. So yeah, I really, really love that takeaway. That's really beautiful.
Thank you. And I think you are such a great example of finding on playfulness in each moment. I'm going to give you a compliment here, and I think this is really
Oh,
valuable for people to hear. One of the things that makes you such a great coach, we were literally just talking about you 2 days ago, Gerald and I and a friend of ours.
oh,
And we were in just admiration of how everywhere you go, you make friends and people just want to be around you because you're so loving and just who you are, your beingness exudes this feeling of like love and invitation to come home to this remembrance of who people are. So anyway, I want to compliment you on
oh.
that. You've done such a great job of being that great light and that coach and that example to people. So I love you and admire you so much.
Oh, that means so much to me. Thank you. Yeah, one of the things that I think is really important for everyone listening to know is that the coaching slash entrepreneurial journey, it is just that. It's a journey. And I'm in this particular place right now in my life where I'm sort of trying to figure out where is home, sort of because of what you just spoke to. It's really easy for me to create community wherever I go and to create home in myself and be adaptable, and so it that level of like uncertainty in my own personal life right now can manifest in my professional life and can feel like, oh, there's an element that is unsolved. There's like an open loop. So I don't have everything figured out in this moment. And that means maybe I'm not good enough to show up as a coach who has it all figured out. But it's like, that's never going to be how it is. There is likely always going to be some open loop or work in progress in your life as a coach that doesn't make you not good enough to coach. It makes you more relatable to your clients. And so I wanted to connect that thread as it popped into my mind, and also thank you for that compliment. That means so much to me.
So powerful.
Yeah, you're so sweet. So switching gears a little bit, but hopefully not too much, because I love the 5D element that you're bringing to this podcast. I want to talk about some of the like tactics that you and Gerald have used over the years to call in community and really nourish that tribe so that they do become clients. So what have been some of the biggest ROI, if you will, or the most effective ways that you all have actually gotten coaching clients?
This is so good. This is really interesting. For years, I used to teach how to get clients on Facebook. And I think the principles apply. This was before Gerald and I were even married. I still do it this way sometimes, but here's the deal. People aren't interested in what you do until they feel like you're interested in them. I think there's maybe a slightly better way to say it, but you get the gist, right? People don't know how much you care, or don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And
I
for
love
me,
that. Yeah.
it has always been taking time to really listen and tune into other people. So how that translates into different things is, I purposely have always in the past had success in this and am currently having success in this. I put myself in environments that have my ideal clients in them. And once I'm in that environment, I really take time to connect with people and get curious about who they are. Now, I taught for years the whole thing about how to make networking the most successful. And the reason why is because people would see me go to these different events and they would see me walk away with so many clients. There was one, I'll give you a specific example. Years ago, when I was very first starting the coaching business I am in now, I was invited to be on a panel at an event. Now, this event had about 50 people there live. And then, well, maybe it was 50 people there live. And then they were live streaming to I think 150 more. So I think the total was 200. So I was on a panel at this event, not a huge event. There were 11 other people on the panel. I was one of 12 people on a panel. Now, if any of you have ever been featured on a panel, and by the way, let me back up a little bit. The reason why I was on this panel was because I had built a really good connection with the woman and had offered to serve and do some things for her, which I'll talk about in just a moment. So she reciprocated by having me on the panel. So I'm one of 12 people, and I remember going in thinking, I've driven now. It's about a 5-hour drive for me. I didn't fly, I drove. I've spent my gas money. I've gotten a hotel. This will take time away. I know that the people here are my ideal audience, and I really want to help and serve them. How can I create a win-win-win situation for everyone? How can I create a win for her by delivering amazing value? How can I create a win for the audience by giving them an opportunity for those who are interested to work with me? And then how can I win by actually creating a financial abundance for me that's going to cover my trip and some? So while I was on the panel, I said some really good things, maybe only had maybe a total of 5 minutes because there were so many people on the panel. But the one thing I did at the end was I said, if you're interested in what I'm saying, because I know we didn't have a lot of time here, my assistant's in the back, and just go let him know. And we're going to be having a lunch with everybody tomorrow. And I'd check with the organizer to make sure this is okay. Just give him your information and we can talk more at lunch. So after I was done speaking, there were about 12 people that were in the room. And since it was live streamed, those people really couldn't take advantage of it. But these 12 people went back to my assistant, signed up for the lunch. And then at lunch, we were able to dive deeper. And I started asking them questions about them. What do you want? Who are you? And as they felt my care and concern, and having the lunch was really a way of saying, wow, she really cares. She wants to do more information. Now, I didn't pay for this lunch. It was just kind of everybody treat yourself, but I created the space for it. And from that lunch, I got a few new clients and ended up making $20,000 from that event, which was a 5-minute speaking spot on a panel of 12 people. But the reason why is because I went above, I did the above and beyond. I did the extra thing. I said, let's sit down together. Let's have a lunch together. And from there is able to connect with those people. And I've used that strategy and that tactic multiple times. Anytime I go anywhere, if I have just a little bit of speaking time, or if I know I'm going to be talking to a lot of people, like sometimes I would just get suites in a hotel and I'd say, we're just going to have a mastermind in the suite. Gerald and I, once we got together, we were part of the Tony Robbins Platinum Partner Program. And we would go in and we would connect and we would do parties for the Platinum Partners before the events. And then we'd offer masterminding afterwards. And from there, many people became interested in working with us because they really liked who we are and the value that we offer. So hopefully this is getting your wheels turning. But here's the secret. 3 things. Write these down. If you want to be successful as a coach in getting new clients, these are the top 3 things I would suggest. Number 1, give. What can you give to people? How much can you give to them? Number 2, serve. And number 3, share. So how can you serve them and how can you share with them? And I'm not just talking about your clients. I'm also talking about JV partners. Let me share with you one other example. Is it okay if I share one other example, Kim?
Yeah. Real quick, will you clarify the difference between giving and serving?
Really good. So give is what can I give to you that I currently have? So can I give a program? Can I give advice to you? Can I give some of my time to you? Serving is like, how can I serve you? Like at your next event, how can I show up and actually serve you? How can I, like, what is it that you need that I could be of service in? Does this make sense? So when you're giving,
one is knowing what you have to offer. The other is saying, what do you need? And let me figure out a way to help with that.
Yeah. And giving is like really giving what you have, and serving is giving who you are. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh,
so,
like that.
So here's a real brief example of this. Remember I mentioned that like my second time ever in LA, I'm doing red carpet interviews with Halle Berry, John Travolta. This is, by the way, huge social proof for my brand. So how this came to be was when I very first just started speaking internationally and got the TV show and radio show and things, I had so many speakers in the industry start asking me like, what did you do so that you could get on more stages? And then I had a lot of stages and events asking me to connect them with speakers since I knew speakers and had been in the speaking industry. So I created something called the Speakers Coalition. And at the time, there was a big event that was happening in at the Walt Disney Concert Hall in LA, and it was just a little ways out. And the organizer of the event, somebody connected me with him, and he's like, well, let's talk. Maybe, we can do some things together. And I just said, okay, I want you to know I'm here to give, serve, and share. And I knew he was doing a big event. I'm a stay-at-home mom from Idaho, like just getting into the industry, but I am a connector and I knew some people. And he was like, well, I could really use some more good speakers at my event. And I said, well, I know some really great name speakers. And again, I thought, how could this be a win-win-win? A win for me, a win for the speaker I know, and a win for this guy who wants more speakers. And I thought, well, this is a big event with celebrities in LA, so I think the speakers would like to be there. For him, this would be a huge value add if I connected him with the right speakers because he's wanting to provide good contact. And how could it be a win for me? Well, it gets me known. It gets my name out there. So I connected him with some really big name speakers with no expectation, just, hey, I'm here to give, serve, and share. Well, about a week before the event, he called and he said, hey, I'm so grateful for the people you connected me with. There's such a huge value add. I want to do something for you. And the thing I thought I could do for you that's really going to help you is I want to offer you time to interview on the red carpet some of these celebrities and big name influencers that are coming. And then he said, but you need to find your own TV crew. And this is, by the way, that lead into how I got my TV show. I'm like, I don't know a TV crew. Like, what am I have to bring my own filming, like my own video? Like, I don't know anything about that. So I got curious. I started asking around and got connected with a place called Voice America, who was a big radio station, podcast station, but they were getting into TV. And I thought, okay, but they said, you'll need to pay for us to come down. I thought, well, I really don't have the resources. So I thought, how can I make this a win for them? So I called the event organizers and said, if I bring a TV crew down, could you get them access to some of the celebrity interviews? And they said, absolutely. So I called the station back and said, listen, I can't pay you, but I can get you access to celebrity interviews, which would be really good as you're growing your channel. And they're like, oh yeah, let's do it. So I got this free TV crew to come down. And then when they saw how well I did on camera and connections to other people, they offered me to be a partner on a radio station called the Influencers Channel on Voice America. So all of those were from giving, serving, and sharing. And I think my biggest advantage when I first got started was that I really didn't have any expectations. I just wanted to show up with a big heart, and had so many experiences like that. And then eventually, by the way, the next year, they started a new format with the same event where they were having speakers pay to speak. And so we were able to work out an arrangement, and I ended up making over 6 figures that one year, the next year on that same event. So I did end up, the first year was all about exposure. Second year, I ended up making, well over 6 figures on that. So it all worked out just from giving, serving, and sharing. So that's my part of my my spiel on that. So
I think that's such a beautiful example, because I imagine that so many people are coming into this thinking, oh, the way to get clients is show up every day on Instagram or pay for Facebook ads or whatever. And there's all of these really unconventional ways that are all about doing what is fun for you, doing what's like natural for you, and doing so in a way that is of service. And the opportunities, it's like what you put out, you get back. The opportunities come when you are showing up and being of service.
yeah, exactly. And if there's an event that that's around you and they have your ideal clients and they offer something different than you, or they aren't going to sell anything there, like, why not ask the event organizer, hey, like, do you need help at your event? Can I come and help you? Can I come support you? Can I do videos for clients? Like, and when you come in that spirit of giving and supporting, people are so willing to help you out. And you can have access to so many people that's your ideal clients. Like, think about this. What's the win-win-win? And just don't make it all about you. So, yeah.
2 things that I want to touch on there. One is just reiterating that most people that I'm connected to, whether it's through coaching or podcasting or entrepreneurship, whatever these different circles are that I'm in, they got to be where they are by reaching out to mentors and just adding value with no expectation in terms of like payment or any formal relationship. Just how can I help you? Because I want to contribute to your cause. Mm-hmm. And by proxy, I know I'm going to learn something. So that's a really beautiful way to get a leg up. And then the other thing is, you mentioned ideal client. In the Quantum Leap boot camp that I'm leading with Transformation Academy, we spend 2 full weeks on getting clear on your niche and your ideal client. And so can you speak to what your process was in terms of defining that? Because I know that a lot of people are like, I want to help everyone and I don't want to be specific. So how did you all get really clear on who those people are and then where to go find them?
Okay, so I'm going to give you a 3D and a 5D answer again.
I love it.
And just to wrap up what we're talking to, I want to say, think collaborations of competition. Even with the other people that are in your field and industry, just find a way to collaborate. Okay. Ideal clients. Oh my gosh, these are like ever evolving in every business, like literally. It's like your ideal client could change from week to week, and you're like, how do I latch onto this? So there's some really great practices and things that I went through, coaching programs that helped me like really think about like, who is my ideal client? How old are they? Where do they shop? What do they feel? What do they think about? Like really tuning into that. But the truth is, like, for most coaches, I would say this is true, not all coaches, but for most coaches and mentors, your ideal client is you a year ago or 5 years ago. And kind of depending how you operate, sometimes that's me a month ago, depending on what program that I'm feeling called to do. And that takes a lot of courage and bravery to be like, oh, we're like on this path together and I'm a step ahead of you.
We
but those are
teach
the,
what we most need to learn, though, right?
yeah. And it's most fresh and it's also most real to you.
Hmm.
You know, have you ever talked to an expert that's like an expert in their industry and they're trying to explain something and you know nothing about it and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, right? Sometimes there's this big gap and it's hard for us to
Yeah.
explain. So, our ideal client, yeah, I would say it's you in the very recent past for most coaches and clients. And so, figure out like, what were your biggest fears a year ago? What were your greatest hopes a year ago? Where did you shop a year ago? What words would have inspired you a year ago or still inspire you now? And when you think of it that
Yeah.
way, it makes it really easy. Okay,
And what
that's
would,
true. Go
oh
ahead.
no, go ahead.
Okay, I was about to go into 5D, but it's
Oh,
gonna get
yes.
deep. So,
I love it.
okay, we're just gonna go for it. We're just gonna go for it. So let me share a story with you, and then I'll share what it was. Gerald and I did an event down in Tulum 2/22/22. We knew we were supposed to do this event. We'd seen a whole vision on it when we were at Rhythmia, you know, deep in meditation and plant medicine. And we're like, this needs to happen. And we saw these major influencers coming and these people that were awesome from all over. And so we got the place and we paid for it, which we never usually do ahead of time. And we like, great place just south of Tulum, like ocean one side, bay on the other. Like they just held a mastermind there for billionaires, like epic, epic location. 3 weeks before the event, we literally had 3 people signed up. And we had room for 30, and we needed at least 20 to make the money back. And we're like, what happened? What happened? And here's the thing, we've been trying so hard. We've been hustling and trying to call this person, call that person, maybe they could come and it was just like frazzled. And we're like, okay, we're just going to spend a day in meditation and we're just going to get clear on the frequency of who we want to come. So in meditation, we're deep in meditation. All of a sudden, it comes that there's a frequency of the people that need you. And so I started singing a note. And then Gerald started singing it. And we found the frequency of the event. And we're like, this is so crazy right now. We're doing it. And we felt this call from within us and this frequency going out into the universe. We're like, all right. And it felt so amazing. And in the moment, I was like, this is going to work. Like, this is a frequency. I can feel it in every cell of my body.
Talk about full body, yes.
I was like, that is so weird. I don't know if that's going to work. So I kept coming back for it. I'll tell you what, we had 37 people register for the event. We had to turn 5 away. We had people from best-selling or award-winning composers to one guy is a billionaire to somebody who has collective YouTube channel views of millions to a famous singer who went under a pseudonym at our event. We didn't even find out till the last day who he was. Like, we called in the most epic group. And we didn't do any marketing after we found that note. Now, I'm not saying that you're just going to go find a note and you don't have to do any marketing. We had done a lot of marketing before. We let people know what it was, but it just wasn't coming together. And I've done this over and over since then. I'm telling you, like, you have to be really clear on what you're creating and just surrender the ego, be so clear that you are like a conduit and that vibrational frequency just comes through you and your voice is the one projecting it out and people can hear it. I can't explain how it happens. Somehow it reaches the superconscious and it's like the call that unites those people that come. So that's my 5D answer to that.
I love the 5D answers. I mean, and the thing is, it's going to look different for everyone. The point that I'm hearing from that story is it's not just about what you're doing. It's literally about who you are emanating out into the world so that the right people that you want to be attracting can like hear that call. For you guys in that moment, it was a note, like a song note. But in other ways, it could just be like a smile. It's an energy, that people need to feel from you. So they are like, you're my person. You have what I need. I've been looking for you.
Yeah, to that point, I do want to share one other thing too, because this is a great example. Recently, Gerald and I had been on a series of trips on speaking at different events and things. And at the very end, we ended up in San Diego. And I think I'd been with you in Mexico even before that. It was like literally nonstop, like a month and a half, 2 months of travel. And this was like the last stop. And I was just so tired.
Yeah.
And Gerald had done a big hypnosis show, and then we wanted to go and spend some time with our friends in this like deep connecting space. And they invited a friend of theirs to come, and I just let them know right from the beginning. I'm like, you guys, we have an early flight tomorrow. I'm exhausted. I'm not going to be doing much tonight, but I'm going to join you. I'm just going to be here. And when I need to go to bed, I'm just going to go. And I didn't try. You know how like sometimes you go places and you're like trying, like, oh, I want to connect. I want to show up. I want to serve everybody. I want to help. I was just like, no, I'm done. I'm just going to be here. But I was just being who I was, totally chill, totally relaxing. We were kind of conversing, but I was just not in the try energy at all. And their friend that was there, I maybe talked to her for 5 minutes. The next day she called me and she's like, I don't care what it costs. I have to work with you. Like, you have the codes that I need. And just like, I was just around you and I just know I'm supposed to work with you. And she is one of my favorite private clients right now. And she was willing to pay a lot of money to work with me. And she saw the value of that just by being around me. So it's not even that sometimes it's just about being. You need to have the brand, you need to have the foundation, you need to have the space for people to land. But coming back to what we were talking about earlier, it's just like being so unapologetically and authentically who you are, letting the ego get out of the way and just allowing yourself to be that conduit. That's the best and most powerful advice I think I could give to any coach.
Yeah. I do want to go back to one thing before we start to wrap up, and that is getting clear on what you offer. This is something you said, get clear on what it is that you're offering, that you're bringing to the table. And I think a lot of new coaches aren't clear and have a really hard time knowing how to define that result, because they know they just want to help. They want people to live passionate, purposeful, connected lives. And casting such a wide net with such a broad result means that often you end up reaching no one. So how did you guys get that clarity?
Yeah, so this is a really good one. And, for years I ran Speakers Coalition. I've been mentoring coaches and mentors for years. Gerald and I together, when we first got together, ran something called Mentor Academy. So, this is kind of my wheelhouse of teaching people how to do this. But yeah, you're so right. If there's not a foundation, it doesn't matter how much someone likes who you are or wants to work with you, like, they won't know how to do it. So what do you offer? There's a couple of tips for what to offer and how to get clear on this. First of all, again, going back to like, where were you a year ago or 5 years ago? It's like, what actually helped you on your journey? If you can be able to put that into a program, then that's going to be what's most effective. And what I would really strongly suggest that people steer clear from are hour by hour rates or session by session packages, because you aren't going to make as much. There's a really interesting story. So my husband, Gerald, he started working with two women around the same time. They looked similar demographics, both divorced, both single moms. They were both into health and fitness. And one woman says, well, I just want to be the best personal trainer that I can be. And Gerald said, okay, well, I can help you with that and with, developing your programs and your coaching and stuff. But he says, people have a limited perception about how much they'll pay for a personal trainer per hour. Maybe the ones that do the big celebrities, 500 or 1,000 an hour, but most people, for a really good trainer, are only going to pay 150 an hour, right? And she did it. She created that 150 an hour. She's making, 50, 60,000 a year. She's top of her industry, whatever. The other woman says, well, I'm into health and fitness, but what I'm really in is the transformation business. And I'm not interested in personal training something per hour. I'm interested in transforming people's lives. And Gerald said, well, okay, let's come up with a package and a way to do this. That same woman now charges over $1 million per year per client. And she lives in Bali. She just got gifted land for a retreat center there. And keep in mind, these women started in the same path, but one went with a limit of like a per hour thing. And the other one was like, okay, here's the result that you're going to get. So if and here's how you develop your package. Think about if someone were to work with you for 3 months, 6 months, or a year, those are the 3 different lengths that I suggest doing for packages or for programs. What would be the result that they would get? What are you hoping that the result would be that they would get? And then from that, you develop the program out. Does this make sense? So if you're coaching somebody to have greater self-esteem, what result do they want to get? Well, the result I want them to get is they look in the mirror and they actually love themselves and they show up better in relationships and they make more money because they're more confident in who they are. And just allow yourself to write about that. And then go back and say, okay, now how can I deliver this over the course of 3 months? If you're meeting once a week, that's 12 weeks. What are the 12 steps, or what are the different segments that if they did this, I know they could get that result? And people will pay far more for results than they will per hour for something. So like I would pay, and by the way here too, there's 3 things people will pay money for. Write these down because this is so true. They'll pay money for better health. This could be mental, emotional, physical. They'll pay money for more wealth. This is more abundance in their life in some way, shape, or form. And they'll pay money for better relationships. Those are the 3 things that people will pay money for. And one caution on the more wealth. If you're feeling called to work with people who have lots of money blocks and are completely broke, don't be surprised when you ask them to work with you and they have lots of money blocks and tell you they don't have any money. So, yeah, because I hear that so much from people. I just feel called to help people get over their money blocks. And I'm like, bless you. I hope you figure out a way to do that and make money. But,
well, can I touch on that real quick?
Programs for that rather than personal coaching clients or like your free offerings, your Instagrams and things like that. Yeah.
Yes. My advice to anyone who wants to go down that route would be understand that you have a client ascension ladder and maybe you're attracting different people at different points in that journey. The people who are not willing to pay more than a couple $100 are going to get lower tier offers. And the people who are trying to take their business from 5 to 6 figures and really understand what's blocking that ceiling that they're hitting or what's creating that ceiling that they're hitting, they're going to be at the top of your ascension ladder.
Yeah. Oh, and here's another thing. Okay, I could just talk about this forever. I know we're wrapping this up, but I love this. This was huge aha for me. I love the book $100 million offer. Is it by Alex Hermosa? I think Hermosi or something. But anyway, look up the $100 million offer book. It's incredible. And it talks about here in that book, and this is a huge shift that was made that I had to make before I could charge money, and that I think so many coaches need to make. The more you charge, the better results you're going to get from your clients. Because the more they invest, the more they'll be invested. And I know I'm saying that, but read the book, and you'll really understand what that means. And it was interesting because even just recently, Gerald and I had the opportunity. We had been running a program for a while, or running a retreat. We had a set price point. It was like the last time we ran this event, this retreat, we had to really struggle to get people in. It was just pulling teeth to fill it. We're like, whatever. I read this book and we quadrupled our prices. Do you know what happened? We had to not only double the size of that event, we've turned away at least as many people as have registered or signed up. And it's because people saw that it was more money and they immediately assumed that they would get more value. And not only that, but it was attracting our ideal clients instead of attracting people that were stuck in this money mindset of I don't have enough money. Now we're attracting, there's multiple multimillionaires that are coming to this and people who are very, very successful in their industry. But they wouldn't even consider coming for the lower price because they have the resources, they have the ability, and they're like, well, I want to pay for something better. So read that book. And then also one final story with this too, for those of you that are really serving people, don't give things away for free because they probably won't get value. And never, ever, how do I want to say this? Never, ever, what is it called? Enable your clients by doing them the dishonor of assuming they can't pay. And so Gerald had been working with a girl a while ago, my husband, and she was a single mom. She seemed to not have a lot of money. He was doing a program to help people build their coaching and mentoring practices. She was wanting to build one. The normal cost was around $10,000. He's like, you know what? I know you probably can't afford it. I'm going to gift you this program. If you can just do like $500 or $1,000, whatever you can afford. She ended up being like, okay, well, let me think about it. I'm not sure. 3 months later, she called and she was so excited. She's like, guess what? I just signed up for this new coaching and mentoring program with this X person. And Gerald's going like, I know that person. He's not nearly as seasoned as I am. And he said, well, how much did it cost? She said, it was only $12,000. Such a steal. And I'm so excited. And she went through the whole program and he said, well, that really taught me a lesson in that I was assuming she couldn't pay. I was not even giving her the opportunity. I wasn't even sharing with her the full advantage of the program. And had she said yes and only invested 500 or 1,000, she wouldn't have gotten the results had she invested more. So just something to keep in mind too as you're designing your programs and thinking about pricing.
Yeah, I think pricing is something that a lot of people get stuck on because they're not clear on who their ideal client is. So they feel trepidation about charging certain rates. They have their own stories around money. And so I think step one is to really understand who is it that you want to serve. Because if you want to serve high school students or fresh college graduates, having a high ticket offer isn't going to work. They're probably not going to have the resources for that. But if you want to serve people who are further in their career, further in their life, and have the capacity to be a bit more resourceful if they are invested in this particular type of transformation, give them the opportunity and give yourself the opportunity to fill the role of someone who offers that level of transformation. So
well, here's the analogy that I love to use, right? Okay, there's Walmart. Walmart is extremely successful.
yeah.
And they're doing great. And then there's Saks Fifth Avenue, right? Also successful in their own rights. Now, they're both stores where you get clothes and things like that, right? The same people that shop at Walmart are not the same people that shop at Saks Fifth Avenue, right? It's a different demographic or group. But here's how Walmart makes money. They sell a lot of things for a very low profit margin.
To a lot of people.
Yeah, and to a lot of people. And Saks Fifth Avenue sells very few things at a very high price point to a very select few people. So if you are going to target people that have less money and you want to offer less, the idea is how can you multiply it? How can you get as many out there as possible? So this is where group programs, online classes that are evergreen, things like that are going to be fantastic. Now, if you're looking more like for the Saks Fifth Avenue clients, then you want to charge a lot of money. You want to charge $100,000 a year, $1 million a year. And we've got several clients that have charged, and friends and people we know that charge $100,000 more per client. Or like I was telling you about that one woman that charges $1 million plus per client. But you're going to have very few clients, right? Because you're at a higher price point and you're giving them your all. So your time's going to be less and you're at that really high price point. So yeah, just get clear. If your demographic is somebody who's, very wealthy and is willing to invest more to be with you, then do the one-on-one. If you're targeting your target markets, people who have less money, then just ask yourself, how can I create a lot of these? How can I be the Walmart? How can I create much product as possible with the low profit margin so that I can actually make money?
And there are platforms for that. There are ways to do it,
Absolutely.
I think that's a great distinction. So before we wrap up, I want to ask if you could leave all of these, hungry, inspired, aspiring coaches with one piece of advice or encouragement, what would it be?
Just be you. And that's it. I mean, ran a speakers coalition, worked with professional athletes, I've worked with celebrities, I've worked with major influencers, I've worked with people that are just starting. And the biggest mistake I see is when people try and be somebody else. Like, you are you for a reason. you're called to be a coach, a mentor for a reason. There's only one person in this entire world that has the skill set you have, that have the experiences you have, that have the gifts that you have. And the more you can embrace and love that about yourself and show up as the fullest you, even if you make a mistake, even if, gosh, one time I was on a big stage and I was rushing to get there and I got the pictures back. My dress was tucked into my underwear the whole time. Like, it's okay though. That was me in that moment. I was rushing to get there, tucked my dress in my underwear, made fun of myself. But that's like, if you're always trying to be somebody else, or you're always trying to aspire, or trying to just, be somebody you're not, it's just going to be exhausting. So just be you. That's it.
I love that. Yay. Mayah Rose, do you have any current exciting offerings that you want to mention? Ooh. And where can people go to find you and get more from the Mayah Rose vault?
Yeah. Well, for those of you that are building your coaching business and want to pick my brain, every month I open up a few spots. So it's first come, first serve. But if you go to my Calendly link, you can schedule a one-on-one with me. And this is just me donating my time. I have a certain number of hours every month that I just donate to helping people that are getting started. So if you want to pick my brain, like I said, in the past, I've run coaching businesses on how to create your own business. I've worked with very successful people. I've been around for a while. I'm a huge connector, so I love making connections. But you can schedule that at my Calendly link. Now I'm going by my old name, which you heard Kim call me a couple times. Just recently went through a name change, but that link is schedulewithallison.com, and that's ALLISON, and just schedule on the one-on-one appointments. And again, that's just schedulewithallison.com. Hop on, see if a spot's available. If not, you can try again next month, but I'd love to just connect and talk with you and find out about what's going on in your business, lend any encouragement and connections that I can. So
beautiful. I love that. Well, Mayah Rose, this was so powerful. I feel like I have personally multiple takeaways that I want to go journal down. And I appreciate you showing up as your fullest self and giving us both the 3D and 5D examples. And I'm just so grateful to have you as a friend and a mentor. And I imagine that everyone who's listening is grateful that they got to hear your story as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. I love you.
Love you. Thank you so much to Mayah Rose, and thank you listeners for tuning in. This is episode 1 of the Profitable Coach podcast, and we have a ton more epic interviews in the pipeline. So be sure and hit that follow button, that subscribe button on your podcast player. And if you enjoyed today's episode, leave us a review. I would love to know what some of your takeaways were and what you enjoyed about my conversation with Mayah Rose. The more feedback that we get from you all, the more that we can continue to improve the show and deliver exactly what it is that you all want to hear. So if you'd like more information about Mayah Rose, then go ahead and head over to theprofitablecoachpodcast.com/001. There you'll get the show notes and access to all sorts of resources that we talked about. And if you would like some additional support in drawing in your dream clients, then I want you to take advantage of our freebie over at theprofitablecoach.com/freebie, FREEBIE. There you will get access to our Life Coach Launch mini course, which will help you master the art of attracting clients. Again, theprofitablecoach.com/freebie is where you can grab that. And I am so excited for all the coming shows, and I look forward to connecting with the community as we continue to grow this show and help you all become the profitable coaches that you deserve to be. All right, y'all, see you next week.